Hello, this is Dr. Kritzer once again, back with you for Introductory Survey Research. This is Unit 2, Part 2, and in this video I'm going to talk about constructing effective surveys, and specifically some things to avoid and some things to practice when we're making our survey questions. In the last video, I talked about various type of survey questions. But in general, we want to make sure that the questions that we write, the survey questions, use simple language, are concise, and look for a specific answer. They have to be answerable. A poorly worded question may not be answerable. We want to make sure we avoid biased terms. And we want to avoid, at all possible, two-part questions because they are confusing and they are difficult to analyze. Let's take a look at some errors people make sometimes in the questions that they write. For example, we don't want to ask what's called a double-barreled question. Like, here's one. Do you like rap or country music? Yes or no? Well, are you talking about rap music or country music? We want to avoid double-barrel questions. We want to make sure that the scales that we use are clear. If I asked a child, how often do you act like a fool? And the choices were frequently, a lot, sometimes, occasionally, never. Well, what's the difference between frequently and a lot? What's the difference between sometimes and occasionally? We want to avoid these unclear scales. And we don't want to have scales that overlap. How many times a week do you call your mother? 1 to 2 times a week? 2 to 3 times? Or 3 or more? Well, if I called her twice a week, would I say 1 to 2 or 2 to 3? We want to avoid scales that overlap. Be careful because this is often a mistake that's made. And we also want to avoid questions that can't be answered. Like, what was the exact date of your first kiss? Well, people don't know the exact date of very few things. They might know where they were, for example, on 9/11. Or older people might know where they were when Kennedy was assassinated. But we don't want to ask questions that are unanswerable. And we certainly don't want to make sure that we don't lead our respondents to answering questions a certain way. We want to make sure there is a good choice of answers to include all people. For example, if I ask someone, how much do you like Justin Bieber? And the choices were, I love him, words cannot describe how much, I would give my firstborn to touch him, I tattooed his face on my body. Well, all of those ridiculous answers are pro Justin Bieber. What if he didn't care for the kid? So we want to avoid leading questions. And I hope that this video has made some of the concepts clearer, and I will be back with you again for Unit 3.